Hi, welcome to Yarning with Angela. My name is Angela, and today I am going to go over some groceries that I picked up. So something that I see in a lot of the Facebook support groups for bariatric surgery patients is people don't know what to buy. And of course, every stage is different and every surgeon is different, so I can't tell you what your plan is, but I can give you some ideas. My plan is fairly strict. And so I can give you some ideas of what I eat and why it's okay, and at what stage it was okay. And then you can fit that into the guidelines that you've been provided with or that you're following. So I am currently just shy of 8 months post-op. So there's a lot of things that I can now eat that I couldn't eat 2 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. But I will let you know what stage of food that I was able to be approved for it. So these things right here, the liquids, Gatorade Zero, Powerade Zero, this got me through from day one. So did these flavor enhancers. Now, Crystal Light has added several flavors that now include caffeine. So make sure that when you're getting these flavor enhancers that you're looking to make sure that they don't include caffeine if you're not allowed caffeine. Most plans, let me say this again, many plans do not allow caffeine the first 3 months at least. And so definitely get with your dietitian and your surgeon to see when you're approved for caffeine, because you don't want to dehydrate yourself or increase your risk for complications. So I use these in shakes to cut the sweetness. Now I use these in my water. And then Gatorade Zero. I found that whenever I was having muscle cramps or when my potassium was low, I drank a Gatorade Zero every day, and it has helped with that. So eggs. I started eggs when I started soft foods, which was at 2 weeks, and I have used them as a staple ever since. So most things I now get in small batches. Eggs is something that I actually get like an 18 pack of now, because I use them for chaffles, I scramble them, I use them lots. So eggs are from soft food on. I did not have a pureed stage. I had liquids to soft, and from soft, then we started adding things in. Okay. Greek yogurt. So this is a light Greek yogurt. My dietary guidelines have been up to 5 grams of carbs, up to 5 grams of fat, and then I am required to have 80 to 100 grams of protein per day. The 5 and 5 is per food item, per serving. So the things that do not fall under that are for carbs, the Light and Fit or triple oikos yogurts. We are allowed, my plan is allowed to go up to like 9 or 10 grams. And this is 10 grams. This is vanilla light. So what I like to do with this is I will add in like maybe Jello powder, a teaspoon of Jello powder or pudding powder, or some protein powder, or some skinny syrup, or some extract, PB Fit. Now the thing with PB Fit and PB Fit 2 is I am not allowed to include the protein in my intake because of the type of protein that it is. So make sure that you check with your dietitian if you can count those. I can only put 1 teaspoon into a serving, so I'm not making it that thick and pasty. So make sure that you check with your dietitian and your surgeon to see when you can do that. But again, the PB I was allowed to, the PB2 I was allowed to include in my shakes from the beginning, as long as it was only 1 teaspoon to a shake. All right, so that then leads to some of these other yogurts. Now I am 8 months out, and I am ahead of my my goals, and so there's a couple of things that it's not that I cheat on them because they still fit the criteria, but these are things that I would not have done the first 3 months. So the first 3 months, I would not have gotten this because it had fruit in it. And but it does still fit into the criteria, but the sugars are 8 grams instead of 5. So it is a little bit high on the sugars, but it's still within my range. Okay. This is one. Now this has little Oreos on it. And if you look, it's actually lower in carbs and sugar than the apple one. But early on, I would not have been able to have had the Oreos. And then once, at 3 months, once like a little bit tougher, when it was past soft foods, I would have probably included like half of this, if I was behind on goal a little bit. Turkey bacon. So turkey bacon, I used to season foods. I would chop it up very fine and I would use that because this doesn't really get crisp for me. You can fix this so that it's not crisp. And so this constituted soft foods, but I use this, and you'll see that one slice is 2.5 grams of fat, so I can have 2 slices, and that's perfectly fine. I have a zucchini and I have a squash. I'm going to do some recipes with those to cook. Coleslaw. So coleslaw is something that you would think you can't have until you can have fresh vegetables. And I was not allowed to have fresh vegetables until 3 months. So before 3 months, I could have cooked, soft, non-starchy vegetables. Cabbage, cooked, is included in that. So I used coleslaw even in the soft food stage once I had incorporated some of those vegetables. Once I was able to get my protein in, I went ahead and I would cook the coleslaw and I would use that in egg roll in a bowl because the consistency is right. I would use that in some Asian flavored dishes. And so I have a recipe that I'm going to be working on. And I think I've made it before, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. And so I'm going to do another video on that. The radishes is another thing. I would not have been able to eat raw radishes at 3 months. However, or until 3 months, I don't like raw radishes. So even now I don't eat them raw. But they make a great potato substitute. I've shown that before. I'm going to do some other things with that. But they're fantastic. String cheese, the low fat. Turkey pepperoni. Oh, there it is. So it's got 4 grams for 16 slices. I'm not going to be eating 16 slices, so I'm going to be well within my 4 grams. Cottage cheese, the fat-free. Now when you get into your cheeses, it does get a little bit difficult. A lot of people, when they're looking for recipes for bariatric, keto comes up. This is perfectly acceptable on keto, but it's very questionable on my bariatric plan. So for 1/3 of a cup, it's 8 grams of fat. That being said, I would not be using 1/3 of a cup of this. I would be using this to sprinkle on something, maybe a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons on something, so it would be within my 5 grams. Same with Parmesan. I don't use Parmesan very much, large quantities of it. I like it for the bite it has. Mozzarella. Mozzarella is widely found in the skim, part skim. 5 grams, 2 carbs, or 5 fat, 2 carbs. So this I use far more of than the other cheeses. So these French fried onions, this is not something that you would be able to have at the soft food stage. This is something that you would add on later. This has 3 grams of fat and 3 carbs. I like these on turkey burgers. Occasionally I like this on a salad, maybe a chicken dish, something like that. for something a little bit different. I think that's a major thing when it comes to cooking after bariatric surgery, is changing things up. And so this is not something that I would eat on every meal, but it is something that I can use that's within my guidelines for certain dishes. Maybe a smothered pork chop, which I see in my future. Tuna. I started tuna, was one of my very first soft foods. So I believe it was like my second or third thing that I tried after 2 weeks. And I love these that are in the pouches because you don't add anything to them. The ranch is very mild. There is one that is spicy and sweet and spicy. If they are too spicy, what I will add is I will mix in some cottage cheese to tame it down a little bit. I don't use mayonnaise. I might use a little bit of mayonnaise with a plain Greek yogurt just to give that mayonnaise flavor or that salad dressing flavor, but you don't have to add anything to these. There's chicken pouches as well. Sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is acceptable in my plan at the soft food stage. So I have a few ways that I like to fix this. I'm going to be playing with that this week. So this is not something that I would dip chips in, but 2.5 grams of fat and 3 carbs. So maybe I would dip cucumbers or some raw veggie in it once you're able to have raw veggies. But I'm going to use this for some chicken dishes that I have planned, or some protein dishes. Salsa, just check your carbs on the salsas. This is a peach and pineapple chipotle. It is 4 carbs for 2 tablespoons. Now, I don't use salsa to dip things in anymore. I do, however, use it to season things. So I might put like a tablespoon of this in some shredded chicken, in a couple ounces of shredded chicken, or I may put it over some fish or in some shrimp, but that's how I use salsa. Green beans. So in my plan, I am not allowed dry beans until I add starchy vegetables in. So green beans are acceptable from the soft food stage once I started adding in vegetables, cooked soft vegetables. Mushrooms was another thing. So here's some thin sirloin chops. They're pork. They're very thin. There's some fat to them. I would trim the fat and I would slow cook these or pressure cook them, making sure that they're very tender. But these, if they're very tender, you can start doing these at the soft food stage if you're allowed to have soft, meat, soft meat, tender meat. But again, I slow cook it so it's fork tender, plastic fork tender, not just metal fork tender, but plastic fork tender. But I'm going to be doing some fun stuff with that. Mashed cauliflower, you can make your own or you can use the ready-made. I'm going to use the ready-made this time. Frozen mushrooms, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I use frozen vegetables a lot of the time. That way I don't waste, because I don't eat that much of the time. So this right here, broccoli and sweet potatoes with broccoli, or potatoes and sweet potatoes with broccoli and cauliflower florets. Potatoes and sweet potatoes are starchy vegetables. However, 7 carbs for 3/4 of a cup. I do not eat 3/4 of a cup of a serving. I eat less than half a cup. So I'm going to be getting less than the carbs. This right here is how I cure my cravings for potatoes. You could add cheese to this for some protein, chicken, serve it with fish, any number of things. Sweet peppers, you can make stuffed peppers, you can chop these up and use them in things. You can make poppers. I'm going to do something with those. Pork skins. Okay. So people are going to hate this. Pork skins. A lot of people think pork skins are great for protein. They're highly recommended for keto. People think that they're doing something great because they're low carb. I do not count these as protein. I use these only for air frying meats or vegetables. I crush them up, use them with seasoning and some protein and Parmesan, and air fry. I do not use them as a dip mechanism because then they're a slider food. And I do not count the protein. You'll see it says 8 grams, not a significant source of protein. So, upon research, the protein, pork skin protein, is not actually fully digestible by humans. We can digest the food, but we actually don't get the nutrients from it, is the way it was explained to me by my dietitian, a nutritionist. And so that's why I don't count these. So for everybody that is using these as protein, definitely check into it. Don't just go by it because it's keto and because people tell you. Actually do the research. I mean, it even says on the label, not a significant source of protein, but it's 8 grams. There are things that are 6 grams, but it says nothing about not being a significant source. So they're even putting a disclaimer on it. So that should tell you something. You can also get pork panko, which is like breadcrumbs. It's pork that's already been crushed up, but my store doesn't have those, so I get them like this. So this is just kind of a rough idea. Again, I tried to tell you when I was able to have things, why they were okay at a certain stage. Definitely follow your diet plan. And I hope that this gives you some ideas when you go grocery shopping, because it can be very difficult. I use the grocery apps. So Walmart's grocery app actually has the dietary guidelines, the nutritional facts on the app. And so a lot of the deliveries, grocery deliveries do not. And so I can go through and I can see exactly what I'm getting nutrition-wise. Even if I don't have it delivered or have it pick up, I'm able to look on there and make a list. So I hope that y'all enjoyed this. If there's anything that you would like to see modified, any recipes that you're missing, let me know, because I am interested in modifying all the recipes in a bariatric friendly sense. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this, go ahead and hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you would like, hit the bell if you want to be notified whenever I upload. I do have a lot of different things that I upload, so it can get a little bit confusing, but I apologize for that. Let me know if this would be better if I created a separate channel for my bariatric than for my crafting, because not everybody's interested in both. So if that's a problem, let me know, because I'm kind of asking around, and so I'm considering that. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic and blessed day.